Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So, I'm going to be reading to you guys a scary story on no sleep, on Reddit of course, and I'm just going to show pictures while I read, and this is a series. I'm going to read the first part this week, second part next week, and so on and so forth, till I finish with the series. The title of it is, Has Anyone Heard of the Left-Right Game? So I'm going to be reading the first part. So now I'm just going to jump right into reading it. So, enjoy the pictures and the story, hopefully. A few points before we start. Firstly, I'm not the protagonist of this story. I just went to uni with her. And though she went on to become a professional writer, I most certainly did not. She'll be taking over for me farther down, but until then, please forgive my slightly awkward delivery while I give you guys the necessary context. Secondly, I don't know what you will make of the following events, and I'm sure many of you might consider it all some sort of hoax. I wasn't present for any of what transpired in Phoenix, Arizona, but I can vouch for the person who wrote the following logs. She is not, and never has been, a fantasist. Okay, so I once knew a girl called Alice Sharma. She was an undergrad at Edinburgh Uni the same time I was. My educational position was history, a degree which has greatly benefited my career as a bicycle repairman. Alice Sharma studied journalism, though perhaps studied isn't the word. It's not an exaggeration to say that she lived and breathed the subject. Editor-in-chief of the campus paper, recognizable voice of the student radio. She was frustratingly tunnel-visioned, and she was the journalist in her own right before anyone gave her a professional shot. We met in student halls and became friends almost immediately. A meandering waster trying to stay off his parents' farm, and an ambitious reporter may not seem like the most obvious pairing. But I learned not to question it. She was inspiring and smart, and she proofread all of my essays. I'm not too sure what she saw in me. We were eventually flatmates down in London, where she chased her dreams and I chased my tail. She got a few jobs here and there, but nothing benefiting of her skills. After months of fruitless internships and rejections, Alice called a flat meeting, telling us that she was moving to America, accepting a position chasing stories for National Public Radio. The job had come out of the blue, the result of a Hail Mary application. She thought she'd been dismissed out of hand. We threw her a bittersweet going away party and put the room up for rent. That party was the last time I saw Alice Sharma. She dropped out of contact a few months after her departure. Complete radio silence. I assumed she was just busy, so I carried on with my small but happy life and waited for her to pop up on television with some important words below her name. Chief correspondent, senator, analyst, something like that. The radio silence was broken last week, and for reasons that you'll glean farther down, I'm less happy about it than I would have thought. Arriving home from work, I found a lone email in my otherwise bare inbox, an email that would later be described as suspicious by my tech-literate friends. Despite being born in the early 90s, I didn't own a computer until uni, and I've missed several important lessons in the world of cyberspace lessons. Like, don't call it cyberspace, of course, and most importantly, don't open emails with no text, no subject, and no sender address. I realize most of you would have deleted this anonymous blank email immediately. My friends certainly would have, but beyond my basic ignorance about online safety, something farther compelled me to open it. The only thing of substance in the entire message was a zipped folder labeled Left Right AS. I don't have to explain what I was hoping to find those initials stood for. Opening the zipped folder, I found myself staring at a stack of text files, each one titled with a date, continuing sequentially from the very earliest file, 7/2/17. To any Americans in the room, this is the 7th of February. I've since read the files a few times and shown them to some friends. They don't know what to make of it either, but they certainly aren't as concerned as me. They think Alice is just in a creative writing phase, and if I didn't know her, I have to agree. But the thing is, I do know her. Alice Sharma only cares about the truth, and if that's the case with these files, insane as it may sound, then it's very possible my friend has documented her own disappearance. The people who suggest this form said you discussed strange occurrences, etc. If you guys have come across anything to do with the below, or know anything of the people involved, then please send any information my way. Has anyone heard of the Left-Right Game? The Left-Right Game, Draft 1, 7/2/2017. They say great stories happen to those who can tell them. Robert J. Gruthard is an exception to that rule. As I sit at his table, sip his coffee, and listen to him recount the past 65 years, it sounds like he's reading off a shopping list. Every event, his first job, his second wedding, his third divorce, none of them receive more than 1 or 2 sentences. Rob plows through the years, the curt disappointment curator of his own personal history. Yet the story itself is so fascinating, so rich with moments, and so widely meandering that it somehow stands on its own merits. It's a great story no matter how you tell it. By the age of 21, he'd gotten married, had a son, worked as a farmer, a mover, a boat engineer, and grown estranged from his spouse. Here's him talking about that. Rob, of course my wife started to get dissatisfied. I was away a while. A.S. For work? Rob, Vietnam. A.S. You were in Vietnam? How was that for you? Rob, I ain't never been back since. That was everything he had to say concerning his first divorce, the entire Vietnam War. Rob had 4 marriages after that, and even more professions. After the war, he worked with a farm of private detectives, got shot once by the mob, then he became a curator, which is how the poor boy from Alabama got to see the world. Rob, I've been to most continents without job. Been to India. You from India? A.S. My mom and dad are from India, yeah? Rob, see, I could tell. He'd been arrested once in Singapore after one of his packages had been found to be full of white powder. He spent 3 days locked up before someone got around to check the substance. It was chalk. A friend he made during his brief custody, Jiro Sato, invited Rob to stay with him in Japan. Getting over the breakup of his third marriage, Rob took the offer. He stayed in Japan for another 5 years. Rob, the Japanese are good people, good manners, but they got all these urban legends and ghost stories that Hiroji was crazy for. Spent all his free time chasing them down. Like, you ever heard of Joromo? A.S. I don't think so. Rob, well, she's a spider lady, lives in Joro Falls around Izu. Meant to be real pretty, but real dangerous. Hiroji took us out there to get a picture of her. A.S. Did you ever meet Joromo? Rob, nah, she didn't show up. None of them did. I didn't believe all that till we went to Eroga. Eroga, affectionately titled the Suicide Forest. The next stop in Rob's adventures is an area of woodland at the base of Mount Fiji, a notorious hotspot for young people looking to take their own lives. Hirojo, Rob's ghost-obsessed jailmate turned best friend, took him to the Aroha to chase Yuri, the ghost of the forest. A.S. Did you find anything in Aroha? Rob, well, I ain't gonna ask you to believe me, but I was a professional cynic. I can't even deny there was a spirit in those woods. From that moment on, Rob's sentences started getting longer. A childlike excitement creeps into his voice. I get the distinct feeling we're moving beyond backgrounds, beyond Rob Gruthard's old life and towards his new one, the one he wants to talk about, the one that he contacted the show about. Rob, it walked up to me through the trees. It looked like static you see on TV screen, but it had a human shape almost. A.S. Almost? Rob, it was missing an arm. It reached out for me, but I bolted out of the forest so fast. Hirojo never saw it. Holds me against it to this day. Hirojo had a good reason to be annoyed, Rob says. That Mr. Sato had been going crazy for the forest 2-3 times per year for 3 decades. To have a rookie come along and claim to have seen a Euro on his first trip, I'd be more than a little cranky. But Rob didn't stay a rookie for long. In fact, it was those woods that he discovered his current passion, the supernatural, or more accurately, the documentation and investigation of urban legends. Legends like Bloody Mary, the Jersey Devil, Sasquatch. Rob has looked into them all. Rob, I figured if one of them was true, who knows how many others could be? A.S. How many have you proven so far? Rob, since Aroha, ain't none of them had any proof to them, except for one. That's why I called you guys up. At this point, Rob can't hope to repress his smile. The left-right game had appeared on a paranormal message board in July 2016. Only a few people frequently visited the forum, and of those regulars, only Rob took an interest in this post. Rob, the whole thing had a level of detail you don't see in other stories. A.S. What detail grabbed your interest? Rob, logs. High quality pictures. The guy documented everything. He said he wasn't going to play the game anymore. I think he wanted somebody to keep investigating. A.S. And you were that somebody? Rob, that's right. I set about trying to verify his information right away. A.S. How did it go? Rob, well, it didn't take long to realize the left-right game is the real thing. The rules of the left-right game are simple. Get in your car and take a drive. Take a left in the next possible road on the right. Then the next possible left. Repeat this process an infinite amount of times until you wind up somewhere new. The rules are easy to understand, but Rob says they're not easy to follow. Rob, there ain't many roads where you can turn left and right and left and right and left and right and keep going. Most of the time you find yourself at a dead end or nothing or needing to turn in the wrong direction. Phoenix is built on a grid system, so you can keep going left and right as long as you need to. A.S. Did you move to Phoenix for the left-right game? Rob, that's right. I tried to seem incredulous. Selling your house in another state, packing up and moving to a whole different life in Phoenix, Arizona, just to play a game you saw on the internet? It seems like insanity. Rob smiles as he reads my expression. I can clearly read his expression too. You'll see, it says. Just wait. I wouldn't have to wait long. Included with the 9-page submission Rob sent our show was a long list of suggested items the chosen reporter should bring along with them. Clothes for 3 days, a pocket knife, matches, bandages. There's also a list of qualifications the reporter should have. The ability to drive, basic vehicle maintenance, and its human equivalent. First aid training. He didn't just want to talk about the left-right game. He wanted to take one of us along. Rob leaves a short while later to embark on a few errands. Prep in the run, as he calls it. He shows me to the guest room and we part ways. On good terms, but very much aware of the other's poorly veiled opinions. He knew I saw him as a charming obsessive, chasing after a fairy tale. He's a naive cynic, on the cusp of a new world. All I could think as I heard of the front door close is that by tomorrow afternoon, one of us would be right. More after this. When I wake up the next morning, Rob is in my room, holding a tray which he'd knocked on the bottom of to rouse me. I didn't manage to record the beginning of our conversation. Rob, I got banana strawberries, chocolate syrup. We got some more downstairs, but I wanted to wake you up to something good. We won't be eating this stuff on the road. Rob has made me waffles. He sets them down on the nightstand and talks through the coming days as I eat. I admit it feels a little uncomfortable, waking up in a stranger's home to find the stranger already standing over me, but I quickly move past it. I tell myself that he's an older man, accustomed to living alone in his own house, not usually having to think about boundaries. Anyway, he certainly knows his way around a waffle iron. Rob, we hit the road at 9. I wanted to give you time to get ready before everyone shows up. Yes, there are other people coming? Rob, I got a 5-car convoy on the road today. They'll be here in an hour. This is the first I've heard of a convoy. And to be honest, I'm surprised. The game is Rob's obsession, and I'm here at his request. The idea that anyone else would have an interest in today's drive is a little perplexing. Half an hour later, showered and dressed in the functional clothing Rob had so painstakingly outlined, I take my pack out to the porch. Rob is already there waiting for his associates to show up. Yes, I thought you'd be conducting a few more errands. Rob, if you ain't prepared by the morning of it, you ain't prepared. A.S. Ha. Okay, I guess that's fair. Oh, Rob, is the garage locked? The inside door won't budge and I want to mic up the car. Rob, yeah, it's locked up. I'll open it for you. A.S. Thank you. Rob, in fact, it's about time I wheeled her out. Fair warning, Miss Sharma. She's a heck of a beauty. To Rob Guthrie, beauty took the form of a dark green Jeep Wrangler. Rob climbs in and lets it roll out of the garage, where it dominates every inch of the driveway. The car is large, 4 doors with a roof enclosing the entire compartment. It's also been modified extensively. Yet another example of Rob's dedication to the game. Rob, what are you thinking? A.S. I think your 2 Caterpillar treads short of driving a tank. Rob, yeah, I fixed her up good. I put the winch in heavy-duty tires. The light rig on top is LED. They'll make midnight look like noon, but they don't use hardly any battery power. A.S. Aren't Jeeps usually open? Rob, not all. This is the unlimited. I like to have a covered car when I head out on the road. I climb in and stow my pack. Rob had removed the back seats to afford more storage space. The place is packed to the brim. Jerry cans of gasoline, barrels of water, rope, snacks, and his own neatly packed set of clothes. I wonder if the rest of our convoy would take the game so seriously. Rob, we got Apollo coming in 10 minutes. No one else has given me time. I sent the schedule weeks ago. This always happens. His name is Paula? Rob, that's his call sign, Apollo Creed, I think he said. A.S. Why are you using call signs? Rob, did I not tell you? Oh yeah, we're going to use call signs on the road. Keep communication clear. A.S. What's your call sign? Rob, Ferryman. A.S. What's my call sign? Rob, I thought about it. I was thinking London. You're from London, right? A.S. I'm from Bristol. Rob, Bristol? That's fine, I guess. It's less than 10 minutes before Apollo turns the corner. Rob jumps out of his chair and paces briskly over to the edge of his property as his first guest pulls up and steps into the sidewalk. Apollo vaguely resembles his nickname, dark-skinned, tall, and noticeably well-built. Thought it was clear he couldn't be less of a fighter. This Apollo Creed is all smiles and seems to have a penchant for laughing at his own jokes. A.S. How far you come? Apollo. I come out of Chicago. Took 3 days of hard driving. A.S. And you know Rob from the forums? Apollo. Everyone knows Rob. Rob's God. Rob walks over to Apollo's car, gesturing him over to talk shop. Rob's clearly impressed with Apollo's choice of vehicles. A blue Range Rover packed to the ceiling with kit. I was most impressed by Rob himself. Somehow the 65-year-old farmer's son had become respected in a vast online community. My dad is Rob's age and he's just discovered copy and paste. The rest don't take long to arrive. Two Minnesotan librarians, also around Rob's age, pull up in a gray Ford Focus. They're brother and sister, and they've shared ghost hunting as a hobby their entire lives. And I find it hard to suppress a smile when they meekly introduce themselves as Bonnie and Clyde. Clyde, we would have gotten here sooner. We had to drop by to get some blankets. Pleasure to meet you, ma'am. A.S. Pleasure to meet you, too. Clyde, would you be the journalist? A.S. That's right. Clyde, you used to write for the town paper, didn't you? He's talking to his sister there. She nods. Clyde is clearly a spokesperson for the pair, yet they both seem incredibly shy. Whether they admire the famous outlaws or just the name, it's pretty clear that they couldn't be more different from the real thing. Next to show up are Lythel and Eve, English lit students at New York University and puppeteers of the YouTube channel Paranormics. Unlike Bonnie and Clyde, Leith and Eve have no issue holding a conversation. As soon as they learn who I am and what I do for a living, they attempt to conscript me for an expedition to Roswell. Leith, we have a friend there. He's been seeing some. Eve, he's a semiologist. Leith, yeah, and he's been recording readings over the years that show subterranean movement, particular movement. Eve, we're going to see him in July, but we could work it around if you're free. A.S. I'll have to check my schedule. Eve. Okay, cool. Let me get your email. They quickly hurry off to film the intro for their latest video, featuring a quick interview with Rob, who seems pretty welcoming of their attention. The last two cars arrive within a few seconds of each other. A lithe, strong-willed older lady who goes by Blue Jay, and a younger man going by the call sign Ace. Blue Jay has arrived in a gray Ford Explorer. Ace, much to Rob's annoyance, has arrived in a Porsche. Rob, didn't you think they're going to help on the road? I didn't write that. Ace, it's my car. What I meant to do. It's my car. Rob, you didn't read my interior. You got nothing packed in there. Ace, I read it, sir, okay? Calm down. I have a bag. I won't ask you for anything. Rob, well, I know that's true. Ace and Rob are off to a bad start. Ace takes a phone call, and despite my best efforts to get an interview with Blue Jay, she doesn't seem to be interested in talking to a journalist. With 5 cars and 7 travelers waiting for a green light, Rob hands out the radios and charging packs, then launches into a quick safety briefing. Wear seatbelts, stay in position, communicate clearly and often. It's at this moment that I start to feel a little dismay. I like Rob, and clearly so does everybody else. He's convinced them all to drive cross-country to join in with his game. I start to worry what will happen if, in the likely event, the whole thing isn't real. Would Rob lose the respect of his peers? Would he accept failure when it comes? After seeing the efforts he puts into those runs. In the next few hours have the potential to be wildly uncomfortable. Within a smile and a few encouraging words, Rob ends his briefing and beckons me over to the Wrangler. I climb inside and make myself as comfortable as possible. Rob, are you ready for this, Bristol? Yes, I'm ready. Rob, okay then, let's hit the road. The Wrangler pulls out of the driveway and the convoy follows in order of arrival. Apollo, Bonnie, and Clyde, Lythan, Eve, Blue Jay, and Ace, keeping a steady pace behind us as we come to the first corner. Rob slowly and deliberately turns left, checking on the others in his rearview mirror. He looks back on the road as Ace's Porsche completes the first turn of the game. Shortly afterward, Apollo checks in on the CB radio. Apollo, this is Apollo for Ferryman. How many more to go, Rob? Rob, haha, as many as it takes. I can tell Rob wanted to reserve the radio for something other than Apollo's quips, but he seems to like Apollo enough to let it slide. I'm not sure Ace would have received the same treatment. We take the next right and then another left. Now safely assured that everyone's following correctly, Rob speaks my thoughts aloud. Rob, you're wondering the same thing Apollo is. Yes. What do you mean? You're wondering how many turns we're going to take before we hit some wall or something. Before you find out this is just all a story. Yes. Does it disappoint you? Rob, I'd be disappointed if you weren't thinking something like it. But now we're on the road and I gotta say something and you gotta listen. Oh, yes. Okay. Rob, we're coming to a tunnel soon. Anytime before we reach it, you can get out. Walk in any direction you like and you won't be in the game no more. Once we go through, you're going to retrace the route we took to get yourself back out of that tunnel. That's when you're home. And you gotta convince somebody to take you back in a car, because I ain't ferrying you back 20 minutes in. You got till the tunnel to skip out on this. Understand? Yes, I understand. Though I have to say I'm getting a little nervous. Rob, ain't nothing wrong with a little nervous. We've taken 23 turns by this point. Already I feel like we're traveling in the city pretty effectively. Rob heavily modified Wrangler slits a few impressive glances from passersby, as well as several honks of respect from other Jeep drivers. Other than those few moments, everything seems completely indistinguishable from a regular morning drive. I even start to worry if there's anything at all for this story. Reporter takes drive with interesting man isn't exactly a polarizing worthy story. 33 leads us onto a short, unassuming street, a row of small businesses in a quiet Phoenix neighborhood, liquor, second-hand clothing, tools, and at the end of the street, a little shop selling antique mirrors. 10 or so people shuffle along the sidewalk, smiling, talking, and planning their weekends. The only lone person is a young woman in a gray coat. I briefly glimpse at her at the end of the street. Standing on our next corner, the back of her coat reflects in 50 old mirrors. Even from the distance, I can see that she's sullen, wide-eyed, and nervous. She shifts constantly on her feet, tugging at the button on her coat. I look away and write some notes as we roll down the street. Then I look up again. The woman is standing by my window, staring right at me. She's smiling, a wide, unfaltering grin that seems almost offensive as it comes indiscreetly. Gray woman lands at the gate, hoping for something better than clover, when they all find are things worse than slaughter. A.S. Rob, what's happening? Rob, ignore her. Gray woman, he wanted to leave me, so I cut him out. The lake is hungry. It drank the wound clean. A.S. Miss, are you all right? The smile vanquishes. It snaps from her face, and suddenly the woman is furious. Gray woman, what do you think you're doing? Have you gone mad? I reflectively pressed my back against my chair as the woman, wide-eyed and gaunt, slams her fist against my window with every intent of breaking through. Gray woman, would you dance down the lion's tongue? I will shred you, you whore, and it will shred you down to your sins, you fucking bastard. Rob puts his foot down and the Wrangler rolls defiantly away from the woman. As we turn the corner, I watch as she reaches, every moment cradled in abject hysteria. She yells despairingly at the rest of the convoy, spurting into tears when the last car passes her by. As he streaks into the rearview mirror, I see her run to a large mirror on the side of the shop, which the owner is in the process of polishing. I watch as she walks up to it. With a convulsed scream, she slams her head into the glass. The mirror cracks around her forehead. The owner jumps back in shock, and as the woman pulls her head away from the mirror surface, the mirror cracks around her forehead. The owner jumps back in shock, and as the woman pulls her head away from the mirror surface, the fractured spiderweb is dripping red. It all happened in a split second, and she quickly swerves from my view. A.S. Rob, what was that? Rob, she's there sometimes. A.S. On the street? Rob, on the 34th turn. A.S. Who is she? Rob, I don't know. She's never acted out that much before, though. Must be a special trick. I find Rob's lack of concern a little unpleasant, and his implication that this woman's ravings were just a symptom of the internet game leaves me a little more perplexed. As I see it, there are a few explanations for what just happened, and none of them lead to a comforting conclusion. If I had just encountered a bonafide crazy person, then one could argue that Rob is just seeing what he wants to see. Maybe he brought her into the game story so much that every strange but unexplainable occurrence would be rationalized as the next step of his favorite paranormal narrative. Alternatively, the woman could have been an actor. A more elaborate theory, sure, but not unheard of. People have lied to the show before, and Rob was receiving a ton of publicity for his attempt from Lethal. Eve and I admitted Rob didn't seem like a liar, but good liars never do. There's a third alternative, however. An alternative which, if you put logic aside, explains all the troubling little details that I couldn't help but notice. Because as strange as the gray woman was, wasn't it stranger that no one on the street would react? I couldn't recall a single glance in her direction by anyone on the sidewalk. Perhaps the theory falls apart when you consider the shock of the mirror seller's face. But when you think about it, he only reacted once the mirror was shattered. And even then, I feel like his attention was on the mirror itself. The radio crackles. Light the whistle, Sarah. Eve, they got that on camera. Do you have audio? Yes, I think I picked her up. Light. My God, that was so weird. Can you send us the file when we stop? You can ask Ferryman when we're stopping. A.S. When's our stopping point? Rob. For them in about 30 minutes. For you? Well, you tell me. Rob turns off a busy street just before a large intersection onto a much quieter stretch of two-lane road. Ahead of us, the road slopes downward, leading to an underpass, which disappears into darkness. We'd arrived at the tunnel. A.S. What is this supposed to pass under? Rob. It ain't supposed to pass under anything. It's just there. A.S. And if we weren't playing the game? Rob. Then it won't show up. The question is, are you playing the game or not? Rob turns to me. It's the first time he's taken his eyes off the road since we started. He pulls the car to a slow stop at the mouth of the tunnel. Rob, you get out now and you can go wherever you want to go. But through there you'll need a car to get yourself home. And like I said, mine ain't turned around for a long while, you understand? It is a dramatic statement, but unsettlingly, it doesn't feel like he's attempting to dramatize. It feels like I'm having something genuinely asked of me, and I'm ready for what's to come. Do I accept the risks involved? Do I consent to be taken down this road, and to the next road, and the next? Am I prepared to see this game through, real or otherwise, to its end? A.S. What are you waiting for? Rob smiles and turns back to the road. He picks up the CB radio, holds down the button on its side. The microphone crackles. Rob, this is Ferryman to all cars. Anyone who wants to step out, then pull to the side now. Otherwise, stay in formation and have some supplies at hand. We got a long ways to go. Much like the game I'm so tentatively playing, my view of Robert J. Guthrie seems to change direction frequently. I heard all about his life, but I'm sure that I know him. I like the guy, but I'm not certain that I trust him. And though I admire his dedication to the left-right game, I'm not sure I'll like where it might lead us. Yet as he takes me into the tunnel, his face vanishes, and reappearing under the dim sodium lights. I can tell that he expects this trip to be a major step in his already impressive story. And this time, for better or for worse, I'm along for the ride. Okay, guys, so that was the first part of the story. There's 5 more parts, so I'll read the rest of them, throughout the weeks. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Bye!